God challenges us to be a city on the hill, to be a light in the dark. And he says that if you'll partner with my word, you will be. But it also comes with persecutions.
Right.
I mean, so it's almost like if there isn't any persecution happening, if there isn't some family member or whoever that's a little off, that's kind of getting a little tweaked because you're trying so hard to be on, then you're probably not really that on.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
Okay, we're back.
Here we are.
Here we are.
We're back. We're here. We didn't go far.
We didn't.
Yeah.
I have a question. Did you
No.
Did you hear about the nurse who didn't want to become a doctor? Do you know why? She didn't have the patience.
I'm hoping at some point these wear out. Like there's just no more left.
Oh no, I got a list that'll last for years.
So all that time when I'm like, hey, what are you working on? Like when you're looking at your phone and stuff like that.
It's kind of stuff like this.
Oh, it's stuff like that.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it had anything to do with football because it's football season, but that's not it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of sports every once in a while. Nacho Libre or something. These are the Lord's chips. Come on, let's get going. You're distracting me. Can you get us focused here, honey?
You.
Come on.
That is the joke of the day.
All right, let's talk some more about some examples of trying to
pressureless parenting.
Remove some pressure in pressure situations. Let's talk about our 4-year-old Miss Hunter. You want to talk about the scenario we just had recently?
Yeah, she's such a sweet little 4-year-old, and I think most parents can say that, 4 is just a fun age.
Yep.
It's such a fun age. They obviously are like little humans that, are very much communicating and interacting and learning and growing and changing and developing into their own little being. And that's what we have. She's just full of life is what she is at all times.
She is.
And so it's really neat to see her at her best and in her best version of herself, which is something we always encourage for all our kids, to always be the best version of themselves. Don't try to be like anybody else. Always be who you're called to be. And that started from a very young age all the way up to adulthood. We're going to continue to talk about that with them.
And she's a super happy, super smart kid. Actually, kind of blows me away a lot at how advanced she is, just in her everything from her communication to her humor. For the last year, since she's been 3 years old, we always play on the Michigan versus Ohio State thing in our house because, you're from Ohio, I'm from Michigan. I have Druce is on board with me at Michigan. Chrissy is too. And then you have, Bella on your side, and you have Hunter really on your side. And Ellie, yes. And then Abby doesn't like the conflict, so she calls herself, she's on Team Love.
Yeah, for now.
But anyway, so she's been able to almost in a creative way be able to banter back and forth with me about Michigan versus Ohio State. She's just so smart and fun and healthy and innocent, all in the same regard, because there's such an atmosphere around her that lends to that, and she isn't really subjected much to anything other than that now.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those blessed situations. Yep. It was way different when we had our first couple of kids. We didn't have the, positive influence in just the household as strong.
Yeah, we were learning stuff like crazy, yeah.
Well, it was just you and me, pouring into them, and then maybe a nanny, and then stuff like that. But then Hunter now has, obviously, you and I, plus 5 siblings that know the honor and the respect and the standard of the Francis family, so they help implement it in her all the time. But something we realized recently was that, she's such a social kid. So she loves having play dates. She loves having fun. I mean, she has all her siblings to play with all the time, but if she can get around another four-year-old.
She loves kids' church.
She
On
does. She
Sundays.
loves all of
She
it.
talks about her friend Hazel and everybody.
She loves Hazel. Yeah.
She can't wait to see. Like she does. She really enjoys it.
She's a social person, and she's a leader, is what she is.
Yeah.
She's definitely one of those children that you'll find leading her little group of friends, not just blindly following wherever she goes.
Yeah.
But we notice it's one of those things too that, certain play dates work out better than others.
Yeah.
As we've grown and changed through the years, I think sometimes when our kids would want play dates, whether it was people that they went to school with or played sports with or just knew from neighborhoods or whatever, that we just kind of like, oh, it's a friend. We'll just tolerate this. We'll just tolerate this because the friends. But we didn't always prep them the best all the time on how to handle them.
Right.
But then Hunter came along, and I think she has more opportunities to have more play dates because we're moving more. You know what I mean? Like we have things going on in our life more. We're meeting more people all the time and whatnot. But we realized we had a little situation the last week where there was, one of her friends over, and it just was not a good environment for her.
Yeah, it was tricky,
not.
because it is the dynamic of all this. You have friends and you connect with your friends on a whole bunch of levels and you want to spend time together. But then, if they have a young child also, it's like, oh, this will be great. We'll have our kids, grow up together and have fun together. And, oh, man, we'll just get them together and let them just hang. And, but, when they're really little like this, I mean, there's a lot of potential, either positive or negative influence that can happen from another kid that age, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of the situation that happened to us where we had some friends over and it's they have a 4-year-old also. And that 4-year-old, she's for sure, I would just say is taught probably a little differently when we teach. It's probably a little bit more house of freedom and we have a little bit more house of discipline, I would say. I mean, we put a lot of energy, if you've been listening to our podcast, in teaching everything from what honor looks like, honoring authority, honoring parents. We teach our kids that if adults are talking, don't interrupt, kind of thing. And just wait. And, we teach them how to call people Mr. This and Mrs. That or whatever. I mean, we build in honor because we know that it's super important because it's biblical, right?
Yeah, I think because of that, though, our kids sometimes, and in her situation, there's a difference sometimes in sharing and then your stuff, your clothes, your toys, your whatever, and then kind of being taken with it. And her situation happened where, her friend pretty much didn't want to be in a sharing position with Hunter, and Hunter was in a position where she was pretty much giving all her stuff away at every point.
Yeah, her friend is, Hunter's a very strong-willed kid, but we're directing it, right? Purposefully directing it. And this other kid is very strong-willed, but it's not being as directed. So then she gets a lot of just like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to ask what I want to ask.
Her friend was. Yeah.
Her friend, yeah. If an adult wants to correct me, I don't care. I'm not going to listen, kind of thing, which goes at odds with everything that Hunter's learning, right? And it puts her in a tough spot because she wants to hang with this little kid because they're having fun.
They're little kids.
They're little kids doing dress up and running around as princesses and just, having a good time. But then, all of a sudden it's like we're trying to say, okay, well, Hunter, you can't do this. And then this other kid's like, hey, come with me, and she's put in this weird position. And then it's like, no, Hunter, you're going to listen to your parents more. And then you hear the other kids saying, no, you need to listen to me more. Don't listen to your parents kind of talk. And then Hunter has this weird spot because she's trying to be this kid's friend. At the same time, she doesn't want to go against what we said. And you can just see this like anxiety and this pressure just building and building and building. And eventually, she's trying to stand up for herself, knowing that the friend was asking to do some things that they shouldn't do. She kind of fought it for a while, whether it's as simple things as sharing or whatever. And then eventually she just kind of gave up, right? It's like, I'm just going to let her do whatever she wants because this is exhausting, right?
Yeah, and I think for us, the whole point of it was like a lesson learned, like to realize that sometimes we're going to have friends like you and I will that are like our friends and we can go do something, but it's not always going to work in situations where if we don't parent similarly, that our kids can be friends. Because what ended up happening at the end of the play date time, Hunter was exhausted at this point. We're exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm for sure exhausted.
It's fully exhausting.
And what happened though is that she almost for, I want to say like 24 hours, forgot her roots for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, but I think because the other one just won so many times over her that Hunter started trying to do that stuff in our household.
Right. For sure.
And so after the play date, and Hunter was behaving like she never does, like where she's maybe interrupting or, you know, acting kind of, you know.
Or just kind of not listening.
Yeah, not listening or just acting so out of her character. I mean, it was so, and we were getting tired of it because, I mean, we were already exhausted from it all, but then like our kids acting like this and the poor little girl was starting to get in trouble, right? Now, I'm not saying she shouldn't have been getting in trouble from us. That's not the point. But it was like we reflected later, and I felt like it was like a lesson learned to teach about is that we expected a lot from a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, we put our 4-year-old in a position where she wasn't really capable of sticking up for herself without almost getting in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, like to stick up for herself, she would have to start getting ornery.
Yeah.
She would have to start
Yeah,
grabbing her own stuff.
She's in a hard spot. It's like, okay, I'm going to get in trouble by the friend or I'm going to get in trouble by mom and dad. I don't know what to do now because I'm trying to please both.
Right.
And it's just a really hard spot she's in. So, you know, on our end, after evaluating this, as hard as this is, it's like we just know that there's going to have to be a boundary about how much time can be spent with that friend.
Right.
Like as much as we wish it would work out better,
Right.
you know, it's not our job to teach someone else how to parent. In fact, they'd probably get offended by it or, you know, they have their idea about how they want to do it. But again, Hunter is God's kid entrusted to us to raise her and grow her and protect her and equip her in the way that she was designed to be. And so it's our job, even if you have to have the tough conversation with the parents that, no, we can't spend 2 days together. You know, I mean, we could if it's just the 4 of us or something.
Right.
But even if we're going to spend some time together, like we're not, Hunter's not going to be part of it, you know, that
Right.
whole time.
And I think that as a parent, if you're thinking about times when you've gotten back in the car after a play date or you've gone home and your kid is not behaving like they normally do because they were influenced. They were so heavily influenced that they started acting out in the way of the child that was misbehaving.
Yeah.
That, yes, of course, you got to correct that behavior. I mean, we don't just allow that stuff to happen. But also to understand, like, it will happen again if we put her in that situation again.
Right.
And is that fair? That's the biggest thing.
That's
I sat with Greg and I said, you know, I'm not saying we don't correct her. Let's get her back to her who she originally is. Like, but to say, hey, next week, let's have another play date just because I want to hang out with somebody.
No.
Is that fair to our 4-year-old who then needs 24 hours of getting in trouble from us again? You know? And it's like, I just think it's one of those things that as parents, we always have to know our limits because otherwise the alternative would be like, we can't get after Hunter anymore and she just gets to behave like that. You know what I mean? Which doesn't line up with what we do.
Right.
You know? And I will tell you, just to kind of wrap it up with this is that we had this reflection, you know, Hunter got some sleep that night. We woke up the next day and I'm not saying she didn't try to push a little bit, but I will tell you within 48 hours, that child was back to her like fun-loving, excited self, like so excited to be living her life the best she always knows
much
how.
happier.
I mean, we went and hung out with other kids. She was acting like she always does. And she literally, I can't even tell you how many times she told me, Mom, you're the best mom ever. The last couple of days. You're my mom. You're the best mom ever. And I think it was her way of saying thank you. Thank you for bringing me back to who I really am.
Right.
You know, like, because even when she was acting like that and she was like almost crying and stuff, I was like, why are you crying? She's like, I don't even know. And it was like she was trying to explain to me that I don't like who I am right now.
Right.
I don't like the situation.
That's exactly it.
I don't know how to tell you because I want to keep playing, but I don't like this environment. And I think we all have to be aware of it. That's not just happening to our 4-year-olds. That can happen to any age group for our kids. We have to be their protectors. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be the ones that as kids are acting out and they are in situation where kids are influencing them, how important it is to have your kids around the right kind of influence. That's the key to this whole thing.
And that's kind of, I think, what's happening with the twins saying dad can be the golf coach next year or assistant golf coach. I don't really think they really care about me helping them necessarily just with their golf game. They probably do some, but they want me to be there to help handle the atmosphere.
Right.
So that it's a safe atmosphere for them, so that it's not all this extra anxiety around all this other drama stuff, because they know I would handle it. They know that I wouldn't allow it to happen the way that it's happening right now. And so anyways, but it's part of, you know, what we're doing and how we have to help them out. So again, you know, I think for anybody listening to this, the example we're giving, you know, again, you have to kind of understand it's some people that we deeply love, and but we have to protect our little girl. And the best probably scenarios that I'm sure happen out there for a lot of people would be with like family members. You know, let's say you're really stepping up and you're really growing to a new level and you're parenting and how you're creating an atmosphere for your family. But let's say one of your siblings isn't. And so now you feel this obligation to have the cousins together all the time.
Yeah.
But if it's creating a mess, you're going to have to make some decisions about what's right or wrong, because I'll tell you, if you don't, it's going to probably really kick your butt in the future.
Well, and again, we went back to, we have to do what's best for our family too. Like, we have to make decisions that put our family in the best position to win.
Yeah.
Because we're not just raising the average child.
Right.
We're raising world changers. And that looks a lot different than the parent that just like, yeah, I mean, they're kids. They're going to do what they want. Who cares?
See, it's so interesting because, you know, as you study the Word of God, it talks about, you know, God challenges us to be a city on the hill, to be a light in the dark. And he says that if you'll partner with my word, you will be. But it also comes with persecutions.
Right.
I mean, so it's almost like if there isn't any persecution happen, if there isn't some family member or whoever that's a little off, that's kind of getting a little tweaked because you're trying so hard to be on, then you're probably not really that on, right?
Oh, I agree. I mean, I can think of so many times, even with our other kids now, that I look back, that there were situations where other parents literally would come up to me and be like, so my daughter said that your daughter said this. And I'd be like, well, what was it? Well, she said she doesn't like it when she speaks this way. And she'd correct her on like certain words that she used and stuff like that. And I'd be like, yeah, we don't use that word. Why was that wrong that my child said that to your child? She was like, well, I just don't know that that's her place to be saying that to my kid type thing. And I'd be like, wow, we really just don't connect.
So whose place is it?
Right. Like,
Maybe yours?
yeah. So because it showed that you're not doing something, you don't like it that a child did, you know, like
Yeah.
it just, so it's like we all have to be so aware of the fact that it is so important for us, especially in today's world, to be okay with the fact that you are raising your children to do so much more than some people are raising their children for. And even though you love those people, it doesn't mean that you're in sync when it comes, because in the long run, we know who we have to answer to. And it's not trying to fit in with all of society.
That's right. And in today's world, with all the PC movement, it's like, okay, if it offends your kid for ours to really be trying to be a light, that's not our problem.
No.
And it's not going to stop us from being a light.
No.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. And we have great news. You get more of us. You can expect new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. So be sure to consistently tune in with us and enjoy our show. See you next time.